Hey, what's up, you guys? Today I'm going to talk about a harmful rhetoric disguised as feminism that is none other than trans exclusionary radical feminism, also known as terfs. I'm sure some of you have heard of the word terf either from Dave Chappelle or random transphobic people saying terf is a slur, despite that not being true. TERF isn't a slur, it's an acronym, and transphobic people aren't oppressed, you guys are just bigoted. Recently, adult film actress Lily Cade had come under fire for being transphobic. Cade states, "You're the mothers, right? The moms. I need the mothers on my side. I'm on the side of breeders. I'm on the side of children. Fuck feelings. I care about the emotional and physical well-being of the future generation, not some swell little fucks of the easiest, stupidest path of least resistant society that has ever existed. Bullshit delusions." Well, if you really cared about children and the future generations, you wouldn't spout all this hate that's mostly based on your feelings and biases, which is hypocritical since you said fuck feelings. So what you're really saying is fuck feelings unless they are your transphobic feelings. Cade then states, "You have rolled a Trojan horse full of literal baby fucking goddamn pedophile monsters into your ivory towers, your kindergartens, your locker rooms, your Olympics, your prisons, everywhere you sought to stand in public. Fuck these people." Notice how she mentions prisons and Olympics, to further the idea that trans women are predatory and don't belong in women's spaces. A trans woman named Jasmine Rose Jones was incarcerated in a male prison. During that time, she was subjected to sexual assault and abuse due to being transgender. At the time, Jones was afraid of reporting the abuse due to the fear of punishment, such as solitary confinement. Kiran Gowli, a trans woman in an Indian prison, said, "As one of the only 5 transgender women lodged among 2,000 male prisoners, Kiran knew the risks involved. Protesting would mean only one thing: get raped." Now on the topic of sports, in February 2020, the families of 3 cisgender girls filed a federal lawsuit against the Connecticut Association of Schools because they were upset about trans women competing in women's sports. However, 2 days after the Connecticut lawsuit was filed by the cisgender girls' families, one of those girls beat one of the transgender girls named in the lawsuit. Trans women don't dominate cis women in women's sports. The notion of transgender girls having an unfair advantage comes from the idea that testosterone causes physical changes such as an increase in muscle mass, but transgender girls are not the only girls with high testosterone. An estimated 10% of women have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which results in elevated testosterone levels. Transgender girls on puberty blockers, on the other hand, have negligible testosterone levels. Katrina Kazi, a senior visiting fellow and expert on testosterone and bioethics at Yale University, explains, Studies of testosterone levels in athletes do not show any clear, consistent relationship between testosterone and athletic performance. Sometimes testosterone is associated with better performance, but other studies show weak links or no links, and yet others show testosterone associated with worse performance. Back to our friend Lily Cade's wonderful speech, which totally isn't biased and based on feelings whatsoever. She states, "This was done to hurt you, to make a mockery of you, to hold you down. This was done by men who hate women more than any other men who have ever walked the earth, the worst men that have ever existed. Trans women, men so worthless they can't even admit the most obvious thing about themselves that is obvious to the dogs and rats who can smell their manhood and should be obvious to every mother on earth. Wake the fuck up, bitch, before they slice up even one more child in public. Trans women are vile, weak, disgusting, whiny, fake victim masturbators who should be ashamed of themselves. They threatened suicide and you rolled over. You disgust me too. There's but one noble response to a man who tries to use the threat of violence against himself to manipulate a woman's emotion. Fucking do it again." Wow, I have no words. Literally, this is just filled with so many opinions and straw man arguments. So brave of Cade to call trans women disgusting when she has sexual misconduct allegations of her own. You say trans people manipulate women's emotions, yet you are currently manipulating and fear-mongering mothers. I have looked thousands of adult men in the eyes and have not met one man, not once, who believed that trans women are women. Wow, it's not like straight men date trans women all the time and think that they are women, and beautiful women at that. Cade also states that every fucking teenage girl experiences dysphoria, and she put dysphoria in quotations. That seems pretty ableist. Also, if we backtrack, she did also misuse the word delusion, so it doesn't really surprise me that this terf is ableist. Also, there are so many different types of dysphoria. Not all dysphoria is gender dysphoria, but she thinks just because some cis person she knew had body dysphoria and overcame it, that means that trans people don't exist. Well, shame on you. Not everyone's experiences are the same. Also, trans people are valid. Your children who agree to be mutilated for the attention of the cult are weak. I wouldn't really call it mutilation if it can save someone's life. I just want to preface this by saying not every trans person physically transitions. Also, no one is giving children hormones or surgeries. The most they can do is get a different hairstyle and clothes, which is temporary. Some children also even decide to go on puberty blockers, which are indeed reversible. Some cis children also go on them. On the topic of physical transitioning, the study titled "Association Between Gender-Affirming Surgeries and Mental Health Outcomes" compared the psychological distress, substantial use, and suicide risk of 3,559 transgender people who have undergone gender-affirming surgery, with those of 16,401 transgender people who desired gender-affirming surgery but had not yet undergone any. It found that transgender people who had received one or more gender-affirming surgical procedures had a 42% reduction in the odds of experiencing past month psychological distress, a 35% reduction in the odds of past year tobacco smoking, and a 44% reduction in the odds of past year suicidal ideation. Cade shows her true colors when she says, "Cancel the ever-living fuck out of this. Cancel this so hard that no man dare walk the path of a trans woman in public ever again. Enough is enough. Lynch Caitlyn, lynch the sisters, Wachowski, lynch Laurel Hubbard, lynch Fallon Fox. Make these men stand up as the men you all know they are. Hold them accountable for their shame." She isn't even hiding the fact that she wants trans people to die.